died at an early age, effectively, when he was just really beginning to get to a high level with the Shadow. So it's lovely to see it going up. We're just seeing the last little bits of the drifters. I have to say they've put on an absolutely superb show.
That steering wheel in that cockpit there, he's kind of just looking around, looking over his shoulder, almost like I'm trying to do a bit of a turn in the Tesco car park, but very easy. We can't even see. Where is he?
It's amazing, isn't
it?
You can't see
anything, all the older
just pure
single
smoke.
seaters and all the cars coming up the hill now, and they're almost going to be there.
But they just create this amazing smoke. Lovely to see. So now we've got a bit more action, and this is very much part of the Shadow display that is going on. This is the Mark II Shadow Chevrolet. The American man, he created his own racing company in the late 1960s, and going into Can-Am, they had an amazing time. They do some remarkable machinery. Jackie Oliver going on to take great success with Shadow ultimately. This was the Mark II from 1971, and all of
That's louder than the Ferrari.
Yeah, following him up the hill
That's so loud.
is Jake Hill as well. Chris Ward is out there too.
The Mark III. Jason Miller taking this one up from this is the 1972 version. So they had gone away from a very different design with the early designs, and this was also a pretty effective machine in 1972. They were hoping for turbo engines then, but never quite caught that one. With the group, and yeah, still Shadow was such a big part of Can-Am racing there.
Having it on
Yeah,
the
we
screens as
we were
well.
lucky enough to see the Shadows out at the members certainly around Goodwood circuit several months ago.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the design on this one with that interesting front wing angle as well. Dodge, actually. Yeah. So Can-Am was sort of recreated in 1977 with a 5-litre capacity limit, and so this one was a slightly different version. So this used the Dodge V8 engine, usually used in Formula 5000. So yeah, that's one of the later Shadows of the whole time. Just having a look here at the Formula 1 versions now, because having gone
DN1. This actually placed third in the Canadian Grand Prix all the way back in 1973, which was driven by Jackie Oliver. Van Hemming is behind the wheel of the car at the moment.
Yeah, and this had a third place, yeah, in Canada in 1973. Still that first F1 car that they had. Great stuff, but it never quite. There was going to be the one win, and we saw it out earlier on because Price, the British driver, was the driver that had managed to get a victory in a Shadow, but it wasn't something that certainly would have developed into a sort of championship winning team. But remember, it was a private team, effectively, so what they did achieve was very impressive.
Oh, hugely impressive. 3-litre V8 underneath the foot, and in the rear, as Van Hemming brings it back up to the top of the hill, and now I can see out the commentary box window, we've got a few prototypes coming up. Someone that is well known to Goodwood, raced at the Goodwood members meeting and revival many a time.
Yeah, this is the Ligier Cosworth 1979. Actually, at the start of the year, this was actually quite a very successful car. Frenchman Jacques Lafitte had a very good start. They didn't quite get the downforce that they had been hoping for, and in the end, of course, it was a Ferrari victory for the driver in the end, rather than for Ligier. But there's no doubt that at that time, Jacques Lafitte was a major contender, and Ligier were very, very competitive. Lovely to see this heading up the hill. So moving on to some more action with the Ferrari, the 312 V3, and this is so much of Niki Lauda's history in not just Formula One, but obviously in lots of areas, but Formula One was his key area, and the 312 V3 was a major part of that. It was one of the earlier examples for him. That was in 1974. His first win with that. He actually was second on his Ferrari debut in 1974 in Argentina, and then won his first Grand Prix in Spain in the 312 V3. It was quite a modified version of the Ferrari 312, but it was who was the designer. Niki came up with some thoughts when he first tested it, and they came up with some good solutions.
Yes, he certainly did. And here is a car and the Bentley that took a handful of, well, actually got the first victory for Bentley in many, many years at Le Mans. This is the Bentley Speed 8, David Brabham behind the wheel. And we're probably thinking, well, what's that? It's got nothing to do with racing. And we've seen a few of his cars, not on screen, but we've seen a few head up the hill and go past us out of our commentary box window.
Yeah, no, this was a very important victory for the Bentley Speed 8, and this was the car and they did it very, very effectively with the victory in Le Mans for a British mark for the first time in 70 years when they managed to take the victory in 2003. So lovely to see that. And then so this is the 956, which was another very successful Porsche, and they decided to send not to send any of their works cars to Le Mans in 1984, but Yes Racing, who we're celebrating, they took outright victory with this 956B. It was the team's first win at Le Mans with Klaus Ludwig and Henri Pescarolo, and it won the following year against a field that also included the new 962. So again, Klaus Ludwig with Paolo Barilla and John Winter. Involved at that stage in providing a very he'd been a top racer himself. He was a former Porsche works racer himself, but then created the team that started success, particularly with Le Mans in sports car racing. That was very much their thing. And they would go on to ultimately take a total of 16 wins under slightly different names of the Yes team. So, going from that to something somewhat earlier in this, we're looking at the Mercedes gathering now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And we've already seen one of them go up much earlier on, which I believe was Ben Collins's 12.8 litre 4-cylinder Mercedes. But in front of us now, we have another Mercedes. This